Welcome to Farnborough International 2006. My name is Stratton Ritchie and I'm joined by Chloe Marshall. Chloe, your first Farnborough, what are the big impressions you've had?
The sheer scale of the show, it's absolutely awesome. I think seeing the Airbus up close has been a privilege, but I have to say the MiG-29 was breathtaking display.
It's absolutely incredible. And it's come so far since Anatoly Kochoi first did that Cobra, which we remember when he pitched up and then flopped forward. Now the MiG-29 does the most amazing demonstrations.
It was incredible. The crowd was just enraptured. It was a breathtaking scene. But you've been part of the Farnborough show for a while, haven't you?
A long while. 1976 was my first Farnborough, so I'm probably the longest server here who's stayed with the same company all that time.
So it was Cody that taught you to fly then?
Cheek. Well, I wasn't. I cut the rope and off he went.
Yes, it's nearly 100 years ago that the American entrepreneur Samuel Franklin Cody first demonstrated his enormous British military aircraft number 1 right here at Farnborough.
So Stratton, what was the big impression on you?
Well, quite literally the largest aircraft in the show, the Airbus A380.
There is no doubt that the Airbus A380 generated a huge amount of interest at this year's Farnborough International Air Show, and we'll be presenting an in-depth look at this amazing aircraft later in the programme. This year's show was hugely successful, with over $40 billion worth of deals being done and some 270,000 people attending the trade and the public days.
The air display this year has been shorter than normal on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. One of the reasons we did that was, we do explain to people that we are a business-to-business air show. We do really concentrate on those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday through to Friday, but more importantly on those first 3 days as the real business time that chief executives have to come to this show, meet the people they want and do the business. So what we did do, we shortened the air display on those days, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. We waited until people got through lunch. So we never started an air display before 1400, and on one of the days on 2 of the days we actually started it at 1415. So we wanted to give the business community time to do their business in the morning through breakfast up through lunchtime, and then we could concentrate on the air display. And in doing that, it's become apparent to us that we did need to widen the facilities that were available on the exhibition side. And I think one of the best examples of that is the building on the balcony on which I'm now standing, which has been a tremendous success as a combined media centre, business centre and exhibition restaurant. It's a fantastic new building, a total new facility, and that is the sort of thing that we're trying to do to encourage our clients to keep coming to Farnborough and doing the business. Air displays on Thursday, it was lengthened. Today it starts at 1:30 and doesn't finish until 5. Tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday for the public days, it starts at 12 o'clock and goes through till 5 o'clock. So this is when the enthusiasts start coming in, when we change more from business to entertainment, and hence that's when we have the ability to actually expand our flying display. So we try and keep the business and the entertainment. And again, that's another feature of the way that we're running the Farnborough Air Show.
We begin this review with a look at some of the military hardware on display. The noise and speed of the jets is always a crowd pleaser. This year, there was a strong turnout of the jets, despite increased operational pressures from around the world.
For any countries engaged in military operations at the moment, that must be their priority. But we're absolutely delighted with the way we have been supported by the United States of America and the UK Royal Air Force at this year's air show. They really have given us what we wanted, what we asked for. They've pulled the stops out and we've been very well supported. And I think also because of those, some of the, obviously the aircraft come from USA companies, the Lockheeds, the Boeings, the Northrop Grummans. Their executives have supported this air show to the hilt. So they've been here in force and it has not had an effect on us at all.
first aircraft we are featuring is the F-16 Fighting Falcon. The F-16's amazing performance is due to it being the world's first aircraft to be aerodynamically unstable by design. This means that the F-16 aeroplane is constantly on the verge of flipping up or down, totally out of control. A tendency that is being continually caught and corrected by the fly-by-wire control system so quickly that neither the pilot nor an outside observer know anything is happening. In fact, if the control system were to fail, the aircraft will become instantly uncontrollable. However, this has never happened. The Fighting Falcon uses a single turbofan which minimises weight and drag, and the adoption of a blended wing design in which the wing root is blended into the contours of the body without an obvious joint means that the F-16 can carry extra fuel, thus extending its combat radius. Another major improvement was the introduction of the bubble canopy, thereby giving the pilot an unprecedented all-round view. The F-16's display shows off its amazing transient performance, with its ability to change manoeuvres while pulling G. Indeed, the F-16 also pushed back the frontiers of what pilots could endure. It is believed that pilots could not endure more than 7G when wearing a G-suit, but by raking the seat back to 30 degrees, which shortened the vertical distance from the head to the heart, the pilot could now pull 9 Gs. The Fighting Falcon has proved itself a worthy successor to the legends created by the Mustang and the F-86 Sabre, and has been bought by many air arms around the world. Indeed, the design has proved itself so adaptable to upgrades that the F-16s will remain in service well into this century. The F-16 gave the United States Air Force a tremendously capable fighter, but the United States Navy also needed to replace its aging fleet of aircraft. And in 1978, the Navy's new aircraft, the FA-18 Hornet, made its maiden flight. This aircraft was designed to fulfill a variety of roles, including air superiority, fighter escort, suppression of enemy air defences, reconnaissance, forward air control, close and deep air support, and day and night strike missions. In effect, it was replacing the roles previously carried out by 3 aircraft types. A Super Hornet is a development of the original design and first flew in November 1995. The fuselage is nearly 3 feet longer and the wings are 25% bigger. Combined with the fact that its twin turbofan engines are 35% more powerful, means that the Super Hornet can carry a greater payload further than the earlier Hornets. Stripped of the weight of its warload, and the F-18 becomes an impressive airshow performer, demonstrating its incredible manoeuvrability, transitioning from one manoeuvre to another in an instant. Joining the United States fighters on display was a flypast by the equally impressive Rockwell B-1B bomber. Arriving overhead from the western end of the airfield, the sheer noise of the B-1B Lancer caught many in the crowd unawares. It also managed to set off hundreds of car alarms. It flew 2 passes with its swing wings set in 2 different configurations. Another aircraft making a big impression at Farnborough was the Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey. This is a fascinating aircraft because there is nothing else quite like it in the world. But is it a helicopter or a plane? The answer is both, in that it enjoys the advantages of both types of aircraft. And this is why it has been adopted by the United States Marine Corps.
We've, in conjunction with the Marine Corps, have 1st Squadron stand-up of VMM 263 at New River, North Carolina. And we're here to demo the aircraft and to start going forward, hopefully to gain some international sales. The advantage of the V-22 is that it flies not only as a helicopter, but it flies as a fixed-wing aircraft. So essentially, once it lands in a vertical small landing zone, it's able to lift off from that zone, go into an aircraft mode, and fly 2 times the speed of an aircraft, or a helicopter, I mean. So the advantage in a medevac mission, as an example, is that aircraft can then get those people back to a field unit faster than a traditional helicopter. Well, the advantage is that it allows the Marines to get to where they need to go and back faster, quicker, and it also gives them the maneuverability and the abilities to be able to go into a small landing zone. They do not need a prepared airfield in which to go. Now, the aircraft is not more vulnerable than a helicopter. It does have its rotary systems, but it's been designed for survivability and to be able to withstand a combat situation. The fact that if you heard it earlier on in the week, you can hardly hear it coming until it's almost upon you. That's one of the advantages of some traditional helicopters. As they're coming toward you, you can hear them from miles away. I think the future of this aircraft is going to be very much a positive trend for us, and we see many sales for this because of its transitional nature in terms of its the state-of-the-art, if you will, for a helicopter system. Right now, its payload capability and range is nothing else. If you ask me who the competitor would be, I'd tell you there is no competitor. Traditionally, for international sales, the different military organizations customize the aircraft to meet their needs. With that customization becomes a price tag that goes with the equipment that goes along with the customization. So typically, when you get for the higher priced sensor suites, you'll find that those prices are higher. So it depends upon the suite chosen by each of the international customers, but the price is dependent based on the electronics and the other mission equipment.
Farnborough provides the world's aerospace manufacturers with an opportunity to showcase their wares. Military hardware accounts for a major part of the business done during the week, leading up to the public shows at the end of the week. This year, the Russians were back with a jaw-dropping display by the MiG-29. This version is the OVT, which is equipped with new all-directional moving nozzle engines. Broadly speaking, the MiG-29 is comparable to the performance of the F-16 and F-18 we saw earlier. But in close air combat at, say, 5 miles, the MiG has the advantage as it is considerably more manoeuvrable thanks to its variable thrust engines. Just how manoeuvrable was amply demonstrated at Farnborough, leaving many in the crowd speechless. This is the Swedish-built JAS-39 Gripen. It is a 4th generation multi-role combat aircraft, and it is the result of a joint development by Saab, Ericsson, Volvo and Celsius Aerotech. The Gripen fighter combines new software-controlled avionics system, modern materials advanced aerodynamic design, a well-proven engine, and fully integrated system to produce a highly capable and true multi-role combat aircraft. The Gripen is the first Swedish aircraft that can be used for interception, ground attack and reconnaissance, and is replacing the Viggen and the Draken. The Gripen is a result of a project that began in 1978, but following evaluation of foreign aircraft such as the F-16 and the F-18, the Swedish government decided to go with a homegrown design. And since 1995, Gripen has also been marketed internationally by BAE Systems, competing all over the world for orders against aircraft such as the F-16. Another European aircraft on display at this year's Farnborough was the Eurofighter Typhoon. At the moment, the Typhoon is destined for the air forces of its original partners, Britain, Germany, Italy and Spain. In Britain's Royal Air Force, it will replace the Tornado F-3 fighter and the Jaguar fighter bomber force. Number 29 Squadron, the first operational conversion unit, based at RAF Coningsby, is already training pilots who will fly this agile, multi-role combat fighter. Ultimately, the Typhoon is intended to fulfill several roles, including air-to-air, air-to-ground and tactical reconnaissance operations. With this in mind, the aircraft has been designed to be capable of performing instantaneous and sustained turn rates. Typhoon achieves its agility because it has an intentionally aerodynamically unstable design. It has reduced drag and enhanced lift. The unstable design cannot be flown by conventional means, and the pilot controls the aircraft via a computerized fly-by-wire system. The Typhoon is becoming a regular feature at air shows, during which it flies without any stores. However, earlier in the week, a second Typhoon flew a display fully loaded with its underwing stores. As if to underline the difference between the generations, an Italian Air Force Tornado F-3 was among the military aircraft on display during the week. The Italian Tornado was joined on the display schedule by a Royal Air Force GR4, the bomber version of this battle-proven aircraft. This aircraft is a development of the original GR1. Although most of the developments are internal, the GR4 also features a second fairing under the nose to house targeting avionics. The Tornado, originally known as the Multi-Role Combat Aircraft, or MRCA, is built as a joint venture by three nations: the United Kingdom, Germany and Italy. In simple terms, the UK builds the front and back sections of the aircraft, Germany builds the middle sections, and Italy builds the wings. However, most of the systems are multinational, with only the computer software being specific to the requirements of the operating nation. The aircraft has two Rolls-Royce engines, and they're specifically designed for low-level operations and are very fuel-efficient at constant power settings. In dry power, they each produce around 8,000 pounds of thrust, and with full afterburner, the power doubles to 16,000 pounds. The Tornado has variable sweep wings, which cater for optimum performance at a variety of speeds. With the wings swept fully forward to the 25 degree, the slats and flaps can be extended to provide high lift for takeoff and landing, enabling operations to be conducted from very short airstrips. Once airborne, the high lift and drag generated in this configuration can be reduced and the wings are swept back to either 45 degrees for normal flight or 67 degrees for high-speed operations. The display is flown mostly in the 25-degree wing position, with the manoeuvre flaps extended to improve the turning performance, although the high-speed departure is flown with the wings swept fully back at 67 degrees. The flying display clearly demonstrates the manoeuvrability and capabilities of the GR4 airframe. With a clean aircraft, it is able to manoeuvre between +7 and -1.5 G, and at height the aircraft is capable of Mach 2.2, and at low level it will comfortably exceed Mach 1 or 660 knots. However, the approach speed for landing can be as low as 140. When the Tornado touches down, the engines are fitted with an excellent thrust reverse system, similar to those employed on airliners, giving the aircraft the ability to land on very short runways. The Royal Air Force had a strong presence at Farnborough despite the pressures of operational deployments in the Middle East. Earlier, we saw how the thrust vectoring made the Russian MiG-29 so manoeuvrable, but the ultimate demonstration of this technology must be the Harrier GR7 display. The Harrier GR7 remains a firm favourite at air shows all over the world because it's so unique. Its ability to hover and even fly backwards never ceases to amaze. The GR7 is the latest version of the aircraft type that began life as a GR3 back in 1969. Its role is to provide close air support to ground troops. And the ability to hover means that the Harrier can, if necessary, land in temporary areas close behind the front line. The GR7 is able to hover thanks to the movable nozzles on the aircraft's fuselage, which direct the power from the Rolls-Royce Pegasus engine downwards and even slightly forwards, enabling the aircraft to fly backwards. The Harriers have proved themselves in combat many times, from the Falklands War through to Afghanistan. The GR7 is currently being upgraded with a more powerful engine and avionics, and would carry on in service as the GR9. The RAF also had two of its helicopter teams at Farnborough, including the Chinook. The Royal Air Force is the largest operator of Chinooks outside the United States, and they're used to transport troops and stores. The aircraft can carry up to 54 troops, or 2 Land Rovers, as well as loads slung under the fuselage. The Chinook has proved itself to be a versatile aircraft in countless operations around the world and in a variety of conditions, as well as embarking on aircraft carriers. The Merlin HC-3 is the first of the next generation of medium support helicopters for the RAF. 22 of the aircraft have been delivered and all serve with No. 28 Squadron at RAF Benson. The Merlin will be the first British military helicopter that can be equipped with an air-to-air refuelling probe to greatly increase the aircraft's range and reduce deployment times. An active vibration damping system reduces the level of noise and vibration inside the cabin to a similar level to the turboprop aircraft, reducing crew and passenger fatigue and increasing airframe life. Merlins of No. 28 Squadron deployed on their first operational tour to the Balkans in support of the UN forces in the spring of 2003. The RAF helicopters were joined by displays by other helicopters, including the Boeing AH-64 Apache. This version is the Longbow, with its distinctive far-control radar equipment mounted on a mast above the main rotors. This kit controls the Hellfire Fire and Forget air-to-ground missile system that has proved deadly. Indeed, this upgraded version of the original Apache has proved to be 400% more lethal in terms of hitting targets than its predecessor, making it the most capable and advanced armed helicopter in the world. This is the version of the Apache that is equipping Britain's Army Air Corps. The Army Air Corps were also represented by the Blue Eagles helicopter display team of 4 Gazelles and 1 Lynx. Display teams have always been an important part of Farnborough air shows over the years, and one of the most famous is the Royal Air Force's Red Arrows. Acknowledged as one of the world's premier aerobatic teams, the Red Arrows are the public face of the Royal Air Force. Red Arrows exist to demonstrate the professional excellence of the RAF and to promote recruitment to the Royal Air Force. The teams have been operating its distinctive red BAE system Hawks since 1980. Most of the Hawks components are British made. Thus, during overseas tours, the Red Arrows demonstrate both British skill and British technology to an enormous number of people each year. The team of 9 pilots is led this year by Wing Commander Dicky Patonis. All these pilots are volunteers who go through a tough selection process before they can begin a 3-year tour with the Reds. It takes 6 months of intense training before a pilot is a fully fledged member, and they always fly in exactly the same position within the formation. Each year 3 pilots change so that the experience within the team is kept as high as it can possibly be. The 9-ship display team are joined by Red 10, who acts as the team's road manager, as well as ensuring that there is a spare aircraft available at a moment's notice should there be a problem with one of the display aircraft. The team's spectacular routine begins with a sequence of formation flypasts with all 9 aircraft. And what makes the Red Arrows so impressive is that they change their formations in full view of the crowd, so they have to do it with pinpoint accuracy. After the formations, the team splits into 2 groups. The first carry out the opposition manoeuvres, while the remaining aircraft perform additional formation manoeuvres.
Something that's getting a lot of attention, both here at Farnborough and in the media, is the role of pilotless aircraft. UAVs, or unmanned aerial vehicles, dispense with the need of sending pilots into potentially hazardous situations. Aircraft like the ones behind me can be used for a wide variety of roles, including reconnaissance, surveillance and intelligence, as well as towing target drones for training.
There is no doubt that UAVs are making their presence felt in the skies all over the world's trouble spots. The Global Hawk is designed to provide reconnaissance data over a long period of time at high altitude. Indeed, it is capable of loitering for 24 hours up at 60,000 feet. The first Global Hawk flew in 1998, and since entering service has played an increasingly significant role in the global war on terror. The United States Navy has also developed its own vertical takeoff UAV called Farscout. This UAV does not even need commands from a pilot, as a ground troop can simply push a button in order to send the Farscout back to its base. Although Farnborough is primarily a showcase for modern and indeed future aircraft, the display part of the show is enriched by the presence of historically significant aircraft. This year, the Royal Air Force Battle of Britain Memorial Flight arrived with a Lancaster bomber, escorted by 2 fighters, a Hurricane and a Spitfire Mark 19.
Always a favourite here at Farnborough, and indeed any air display, is the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. And joining me is Stuart, who is part of the team here. Why do you think the Memorial Flight still holds such a special place in air display shows?
I think it's the technology, the history associated with the aeroplanes here. We've got with us the Lancaster Hurricane and Spitfire, which are iconic aircraft in the history of the RAF. The Lancaster was probably the greatest bomber that the RAF had, and the Hurricane and Spitfire, from the Battle of Britain point of view, were obviously the main players and are special significance from that point of view. So, truly historic aircraft at a truly special occasion.
It's the forefront of the forerunners of all the technology that everyone's coming to see as well today. How did you get started in it?
My main job is flying the AWACS at Waddington, and when I first arrived there, I happened to meet a guy who did it, and I said, look, any opportunity at any time, please let me know. And I was fortunate enough to get selected back in 2000 to become a pilot on the bombers, and I would have called them the bombers, the Dakota and the Lancaster, and I've never looked back.
And is it really seen to be the epitome of every pilot's dream?
I think the Lancaster, certainly, for myself, it's certainly the aircraft that for me, that there's just nothing to beat it. It's an aircraft, as I said, with lots of history. It's the one I read about as a young lad growing up, and certainly looking at the history of the Air Force and how I wanted to take my career forward. And to dream, or to even think that I would be flying a Lancaster at this stage in my career is something I never dreamt of, and it's just a great honour and privilege to do it.
And during the course of the year, what does the Memorial Flight get up to, apart from air shows like this?
We have a wide range of events throughout the year. Normally it's of the order of 700 to 800, depending upon on the commitments that we have. The aircraft typically take part in numerous events at weekends throughout the display season, kicking off in late April, early May, and going all the way through to the end of October. So for 6 months of the year, all the aircraft on the flight are very, very active at all the air shows throughout the country, and a wide-ranging events from big ceremonial occasions to big air shows such as this, to fetes and other events at villages around the country who love to see and hear the aircraft.
And how does it compare flying some of the more modern, up-to-date aircraft and then going back in time to these?
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because the aircraft I fly, the AWACS, is not, from a front-end point of view, not so modern. It's a Boeing 707. It's actually not a lot different to a swept-wing B-29. It has cable controls and very, very similar to the Lancaster in many respects. It's slightly more modern, obviously, because it's a jet, but it handles in much the same way. And going on to the Lancaster from that, it was actually quite useful to have the experience of the 707 when I learned how to fly the Lancaster.
And some of the Spitfire and Hurricane pilots are on things like Typhoons and...
Oh yes, OC Coningsby is with us today. He's sitting on the tail of the Spitfire, as you see him over there. He's actually a Typhoon pilot at Coningsby. Al Pinner, who is our boss, was an ex-Harrier pilot, and all the fighter pilots are either F3 or fast jet. We have a Jaguar guy as well. So there's a wide range of fast jet backgrounds for the fighters, and a wide range of multi-engine experience to fly the two heavy aircraft of the flight.
And of all the air shows, what makes Farnborough special for you?
For me, it's the wide-ranging aircraft that you've got here. You've got the A380, which is obviously one of the newest in terms of passenger airliner development. You've got, as far as modern fighters concerned, obviously Eurofighter. You've got other contributions from the F-18 overseas, the MiG-29. It's just such a variety of both civil and military aircraft.
And from a professional standpoint, which display, what have you particularly enjoyed?
I like watching big, heavy aircraft be thrown around, and the A340 in particular and the A380. To see those big aircraft being thrown and performed like that, I think is always quite a spectacle.
Well, we love having you at the show, so thank you very much.
We love to be here. It's fantastic, and thanks so much for inviting us along.
The BBMF fighters were joined by two other Spitfires in the display schedule, a Mark 9 two-seater trainer and the Rolls-Royce owned Mark 19. Given the horrible wet conditions that prevailed at the start of Saturday's display, this Catalina amphibian was probably the best equipment to have. The Catalina is one of aviation's great aircraft which saw service in all theatres during the Second World War with both British and American air forces. Its prodigious range and endurance enabled Allies to mount operations across vast tracts of ocean from the Atlantic to the Pacific, hitting the enemy where, previously, they thought themselves safe. Further entertainment was provided by Guy Westgate in a breathtakingly elegant display, in a glider. What is remarkable about Guy's display is that both he and the extra 300 tug aircraft both perform rolls whilst under tow. There is no doubt that entertaining flying displays plays an important part in getting young people enthused by aviation. This year, the organisers went a stage further and held an International Youth Day on the Friday. As well as having a day away from their studies, the students were able to attend seminars and demonstrations, as well as participate in the more interactive activities, such as build a plane.
One company that's taken a very high profile here at Farnborough, both in sponsoring the daily air displays and the newly introduced International Youth Day, is DAE, Dubai Aerospace Enterprise. And joining me now is Rashid Al Malik, who's the project director. A very ambitious project. Tell us a little bit about how you set DAE to be one of the world leaders in aerospace in the future.
Well, I think we have to thank the industry itself, because the growth in the industry is driving us forward to shape DAE and to put it in the industry and to become a major player in the industry very soon. So the main reason for that, it's the growth in the industry, especially in the emerging market, which is close to our region. If we talk about India and China and also the Middle East, the aerospace industry is booming. And also the nature of the aerospace industry, it's also giving us the chance to enter that venue. Yeah.
And all based out of the Dubai World Centre at Jebel Ali?
Well, we are a global company. We will have lots of activities going on in Dubai.
That'll be your hub?
Exactly. And also we will have activities around the world, wherever is the opportunities. It's a growing market. I said it's in China and India. We would like to build airports there. We'd like the Middle East is growing, North Africa and South Africa is a huge, Latin America, it's a huge market, lots of growth.
Very well situated for it.
Exactly, and we would like to capture these opportunities. So that's why we would like to become a global player. That's who's DAE, and DAE needs lots of support. What I mean by that, we're shortly going to start to recruit lots of people. We would like to have the best, and we would like to also strengthen the education in our area and region. There is no aerospace university in the region, so we would like to start this aerospace industry for two main reasons. One of them to support DAA growth, to have the best people, and that's why DAA University is sponsoring this day to support the industry, of course. The other reason also is to support the growth within the region. We would like to educate the people who can really add value to the industry there. So there is two main objectives for Dubai Aerospace Enterprise University.
And talk about seeing into the future. You're the sponsors of the International Youth Day today. How did that come about, and what's it bringing to the air show?
Well, we are very delighted actually to sponsor the first ever International Youth Day. It's all about aerospace industry, and we want to show our commitment to this industry, and we want to show that we believe that these are the young people who will shape the industry in the future. This is the best place to do it. This is the right time to do it, and there is a lots of shortage in the industry. If you go back to the analysis, I mean, the industry is suffering from shortage of the people. So we said it's a good area, which is Europe. Farnborough is a very well-known air show, and also we would like to attract the best international student to Dubai.
Well, they're all here today having a fantastic time, seeing the opportunity.
Nice weather.
Hopefully we can keep, nice weather, but hopefully keeping them within the industry and attracting them to the industry.
I think so, because it's good to show them that what we are doing as Dubai Aerospace Enterprise,
what
and
opportunities are there.
Exactly, and how we believe in it, and how the market is going to grow. I think people need to know these things. The young kids, they need the right education tool. I think this is part of the education tool, where we can tell them, guys, there is lots of things going on. This might be your arena. This is your future.
So Steve, what are we up to here?
Right, this is a demonstration of how we build our aeroplanes. A group of us are all members of the Europa Club, which is a British kit aircraft, and it's made out of fiberglass. And the demonstration here is to show how the fiberglass is put together, how it's wetted out, and the sort of shapes that we can actually make with the fiberglass and the foam.
So how have all the youths been getting on today?
I think they've been getting on very well. The only problem that we've been having is that it's rather hot, and the materials that we use are very dependent on the heat and humidity, and they go off a little bit too quickly. So if you don't do the work quickly, it actually goes solid before you've actually got it in place.
Farnborough provides a showcase for all types of aviation, including civil aircraft of all types.
With the rapid expansion of the business and the executive aircraft sector, it's a pleasure to be joined now by Robert Bonnier from Gulfstream, one of the longest established and leading players in the field. We're in a spectacular aircraft here. Tell us a little bit about this one.
Well, this is the Gulfstream G550, which is our top-of-the-line aircraft. It is a ultra-long range, large cabin business jet. You can go round the world in this aircraft with one stop.
Incredible.
So 6,750 nautical miles is an easy range. About a 12, 13-hour flight. And the advantage to it is that it is a mobile office. About 80% of our customers are multinational corporations that use this as their mobile office. About 15% of our customers are government or government agencies that use it for research or scientific purposes. And about 5% of our customers are high-worth individuals. They get all the coverage, but even they, and there are, it's known, some golf professionals, for example, who have business jets, and it's the only way that they can do their job. It's the only way they can get from tournament to tournament, rested, relaxed, with all their equipment, ready to play the next round.
I think people do tend to focus, as you said, on the luxury aspect to it, but what are the real benefits? What does this aircraft have that set it apart from taking another route?
Well, first of all, minimize the stress factor, because the aircraft is going to leave when you're ready. So if you're stuck on the M4 getting to the airport, it's going to wait for you. Secondly, when you're there, it leaves. Thirdly, there are some features within the cabin. For example, the pressurization is anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 feet less than in a commercial airliner. Nice large windows with lots of light. The other feature that we have is we put 100% fresh air through the cabin in less than 2 minutes. And so every 2 minutes or less, the entire cabin atmosphere or environment is removed of any bacteria or germs. So catching a cold on these things is not something that's probably going to happen to you. And then, as you pointed out, you've got your laptop, you've got your telephone, which you don't have to turn off during takeoff and landing. You can check your stock market, or alternatively...
So it's an office in the sky?
It's totally an office in the sky. This computer, you can log on to your website now if you want, and at the same speed as you get in your office at work, 50,000 feet up, doing 0.85 Mach, you can get exactly the same speed on your computer. So instead of being 10 or 12 hours out of touch when you land at your destination, you're refreshed, you probably slept a bit, had a good meal, talked with your colleagues, and kept up to date with what's going on.
So how many will a plane like this sit?
Well, the way you actually do it is on an ultra long range flight is how many beds can you make for people. So you can make 6 comfortable beds, or there are a couple of doubles if needed. About 6 people will fly on this, 6 to 8 comfortably. If it's a daylight flight, you can put up to 19 people on this aircraft. But we normally have an average from our research that shows about 6 to 8 people on the ultra long range flights.
And what impact does having aircraft like this at Farnborough have on the public? Why are you here?
Well, we're here for a number of reasons. First of all, it is an aerospace and aviation show. We've announced a couple of major technological advances at our new media briefing earlier this week. We have something called an enhanced vision system. We're introducing the 2nd generation of that. We were the first business jet to have that system. We're introducing something called synthetic vision, which is another advancement in safety. Also,
so your developments can be used in other sectors?
Oh yes, absolutely. And the other thing is that these aircraft, believe it or not, have military and government applications. This aircraft is a superb reconnaissance airplane, for example. It can go up to 50,000 feet and stay there for 12 hours and take a look at what's going on downstairs. There are some countries, for example, Japan uses one of our aircraft to verify all the air navigation systems. The National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration in the States uses a Gulfstream 4 as a hurricane hunter, and it helps predict the path of the hurricane so that less people have to be dislocated or moved when the hurricane hits the shore.
An interesting demonstration of the adaptability of executive jets was the presence of the Astor Sentinel, which started life as a Bombardier jet aircraft. This aircraft is scheduled to join the Royal Air Force later in 2006.
Well, this is Astor, or more particularly, this is the aircraft designated Sentinel. And this provides a new capability for the Royal Air Force and the British Army, the like of which has never been seen anywhere in the world before. This system is nowhere in the world in service. It's a dual mode radar. Dual mode because it provides the SAR capability of the U-2. By SAR, I mean it provides images of the ground from 40,000 feet or more out of harm's way with excellent observation of the land, particularly over mountainous terrain, providing real-time data 24 hours a day in all weather conditions, direct pretty much near real time to the land commander. So he has excellent situational awareness, the like of which he's never experienced before. But what makes this system so unique is that it also contains the ability to capture moving target information. That is, small vehicles or large moving in and around the land commander's area of interest. And not only can he see the whole picture of the land and moving targets, but he can, even after the aircraft is airborne, request at short notice information on areas of interest to him locally. Well, this system is not in use at the moment anywhere in the world, and it's certainly a whole new capability for the Royal Air Force, and in particular for the British Army. he doesn't have situational awareness anything like this capability can provide. It's been a key requirement for this system that we interface with the US JSTARS system. So we can take images from this aircraft and transmit them down to the land commander, and also transmit those images back to JSTARS. And the land commander can interconnect with JSTARS so that he can also obtain their information and synthesize the two. So we have that information going bidirectionally, helping the land commander understand exactly where he is and what's around him. This is a very exciting time for Raytheon and for the Royal Air Force and the British Army. This is the third of 3 aircraft. We're going to be delivering our first aircraft next month. We're going to have 2 aircraft available before the end of the year, and that will enable the Royal Air Force and the British Army to declare that this system is in service. They're going into 5 Squadron. 5 Squadron is a very interesting squadron. It's actually called 5AC Squadron, Army Cooperation. So the squadron is based at RAF Waddington, but is also comprising the British Army. So it's a combined squadron, combining the RAF's use of the Sentinel aircraft and the British Army with Astor ground stations, designed and manufactured by RSL in Harlow. This is a very, very high performance aircraft, and I can tell you the Royal Air Force are itching to get their hands on it. It flies at over 40,000 feet. That enables the radar to operate well out of harm's way and to get a tremendous field of view of the battlefield. It's a fast aircraft. It'll operate at over 600 miles an hour. It has a range of over 5,000 nautical miles and endurance of 11 hours. So this aircraft is fit for purpose. We've had tremendous interest from all around the world this week. It's been a very busy week, and it's been a great opportunity to show them real hardware that's working here, and they've been able to see our radar images, both moving target indicator and ground images. So we've had interest from North America, from Asia, from Europe, including Scandinavia. We're expecting for that interest to be pursued after Farnborough. It's been a really great show for us.
We've been looking at the exotic world of business aviation, and joining me now is Hamish Harding, who set something of a world record. Tell us about it.
Well, I've flown a lot of light jets around the world, and none have actually been able to fly across the Atlantic without a fuel stop, in Iceland, for example. Finally, we've actually got an aircraft now that will fly across the Atlantic without a refuel. It's the Sino-Swearingen SJ30, which Action Aviation sells in Europe. It'll actually go 2,500 nautical miles without a refuel, and at a speed of 486 knots. That's 560 miles an hour. We actually set a new transatlantic record for the quickest time across the Atlantic for any aircraft under 20,000 pounds weight.
And when was the last time anyone had challenged at that?
Well, that was actually captured by a Lear in 1984, but that was with modified ferry tanks. We've actually done it now with a standard aircraft, as you see behind us.
Tell us a little about this aircraft.
Well, it's taken a very long time to come about. Ed Swearingen, a famous aircraft designer, designed the aircraft and has spent about 18 years coming to this point where we finally certified it, and it's now a new business jet on the market, along with the Citations, the Lear jets of this world. And it's single pilot, so a lot of private individuals are keen to have this sort of aircraft.
So apart from the single pilot, what are the other things that put this really on the map and make it very competitive in this market?
Well, one of the nice features is that it's a sea level cabin all the way up to 41,000 feet. So we came across overnight from Texas into London Farnborough with one refuel in Canada, and the whole thing was done at sea level cabin, so the fatigue level was a lot less for us pilots when we landed, and the same with the passengers. It's you don't get the jet lag effects caused by cabin altitudes in commercial airliners of 6,000 to 8,000 feet.
Well, we might be seeing flatbeds in first class aviation, but this is taking everything up to a whole new level. Joining me now is Hamish Harding with Action Aviation. Now, you've brought this to Farnborough. We forget a lot of trade is done here, and you're hoping to sell this aircraft during the show.
Yes, this is a Boeing 727 that's been converted to VIP use, and it's being offered now in Europe by Action Aviation. It has facilities like a complete bedroom. You see here.
It's fantastic.
This is not just British Airways flat beds in first class. This is a full double bed. It rises up electronically. It doubles as a hospital bed if somebody was ill. And this is a whole private area in which somebody could live when they're on a business trip.
It's absolutely. Just beautifully done. I've walked through the bathroom, there's a shower.
Yeah.
You feel like you're in a top hotel or indeed a cruise ship of some sort. It's absolutely... Should we walk through the cabin and see what else there is to offer? It's very spacious, isn't it? That's the first thing I noticed.
It is. Light woods help, I think. It makes you feel like you're in a luxury club or London club or whatever.
I suppose going for a bigger aircraft does that as well.
Yes, that's right. It is a very wide cabin. We've got a lot of passengers across this cabin back in the days when it was a passenger aircraft.
And you've got an amazing display. I mean, it's just beautiful. What about these glasses in terms of safety, though?
Oh, all the glasses have to be special crash-tested glasses. They won't smash in, say, a 30G impact. And they're all secured so that if you go into a serious bank angle on the aircraft, they won't fall off or do anything like that. And there's silver cutlery, crystal glasses. No expense has been spared by the previous owner to make this the very best interior of any head of state type aircraft.
So how many passengers would you normally see?
Now we've got 16 seats for passengers in the VIP configuration. It used to be about 180 passengers when it was an original airliner.
And I suppose this just means they can come and they can hold their meeting here and they don't have to go on anywhere. They can just, literally, this can be their base, their home from home, or their business office away from home.
Absolutely. A lot of people, when they're going to difficult locations in the world to have important meetings, they will actually have meetings in their own aircraft. So the other people come into the aircraft through the integral back steps on this aircraft, so no external parties required. And then they come and meet at, say, the conference room table over there. And this is probably the last mode of transport in the world where the owner can still smoke a cigar if necessary.
And what about the kitchen?
There's a full galley on here so that most people who would have an aircraft like this would have professional chefs, and they would then serve the very best of international food on the flight. Maybe the guests are particularly from a nationality that like special food. There's a large cooking facility there and storage facilities to do any kind of restaurant gourmet meal on board.
So you can put together something more elaborate than you would have.
Slightly better than the American Airlines type of meal in domestic US that I've been used to.
Chicken or fish.
Exactly. I'm sorry, we're out of the chicken, sir.
But Farnborough 2006 will be remembered for the Airbus A380, the world's largest passenger jet. Parts of the aircraft are built all over Europe and then transported to the Airbus facility near Toulouse in France for assembly. For example, the enormous wings are built at Broughton in North Wales and then shipped by a specially designed ferry to France.
Quite literally, the biggest star of Farnborough International 2006 was the arrival of the Airbus A380. Here is Pete Chandler, the project pilot of this fabulous development aircraft. That must be such a buzz to be taking this project forward.
It is. I mean, for me, it's been a dream, really, because I've been involved in the development of the airplane. Actually, before I even joined Airbus, I was with Virgin Atlantic as an airline pilot, but I was a project pilot there for on the airline working groups, which started with the initial definition of this airplane. So I've really seen it right from the start through now to flight testing and coming here to Farnborough with it.
But this is quite literally vast. It's 164 tonnes heavier than a 747.
Yes. Yeah, it's a big aeroplane, certainly, but it actually doesn't feel when you're flying it. I can actually do virtually an identical display in this as I do in the A318, the smallest one, and it feels, it doesn't feel like a huge aeroplane.
How does Airbus achieve that, to the smallest to the largest flying very, very similarly?
Well, it's you can't hide the weight of an aeroplane, so particularly when we fly this at weights up to 560 tons, you know, you can tell that you're in a big, beefy, heavy aeroplane. On the other hand, everything in the cockpit works in the same way in this airplane as it does in the 340, the 330, the 320. So pilots that are familiar with those airplanes will have no problem at all. For example, understanding the way the symbology is shown on the screens, understanding the way the autopilot works. It's the common philosophy of the cockpit, even though we've had the opportunity to add in quite a lot of new technology into this one.
Now, the temperatures we've had at Farnborough, in fact throughout Europe throughout this show, have been very hot.
Yeah.
Often at Heathrow, getting the passengers on board commercial airliners is very, very hot down the back end.
Yeah.
How on earth are you going to keep it cool before you get airborne for the passengers?
Oh, well, you have an auxiliary power unit which is more than sufficient to provide air conditioning for the airplane on the ground, so there's no problem with that.
Well,
and in fact, if I could say, during the visits here, we've had problems with air conditioning in the chalet and on the stand. So quite often during the show, the airplane here has been the coolest place to be.
Everyone, well, it is definitely the coolest place to come.
Well, yes.
Pete, it is a fantastic display. Yesterday, you were flying in formation with 9 arrows.
That's right, yes. For about 15 minutes, I became leader of the Red Arrows, which is another tick on the CV, I suppose.
That must have been terrific. I hope you got some good photographs.
Yes, in fact, when I was flying, I wasn't, apart from the fact that obviously it was all well prearranged and I was talking to them, from the cockpit I couldn't actually see any of them at all. So I was assuming that they were all there, but I've seen some of the pictures afterwards and it's fantastic.
Now, how many A380s are there in existence at the moment?
Flying A380s, I have to think about this because there was another one that flew for the first time 2 days ago. If I say within the flight test program, there are 3 that we have at Toulouse which are actively flying. Another 2 which, there's another one which has flown but which is at Hamburg being fitted with a cabin. Another one waiting with the Engine Alliance engines which will fly very soon. So very soon there will be 5 in flight test. And then there are, on top of that, 2 more airplanes that have flown. They will be the initial airplanes for Singapore Airlines, and they have flown and are now at Hamburg having the cabins fitted.
Fantastic.
But basically at the moment 3 actively in the flight test program, about to go up to 5.
Fantastic. And of course Rolls-Royce supplying the power.
For the initial ones, yes, this is a Rolls-Royce Trent 900 powered airplane. Yes, and then very soon though we will start testing also the Engine Alliance engine.
The join up with the Red Arrows, that must have been terrific. How much planning goes into that?
It was all done in a fairly short time scale. We'd been discussing it for some time, but we didn't really get the green light to say go ahead with it until 2 or 3 days ago, or before the flight. But then I spoke a lot with Dicky Patunas, the leader, to decide roughly how we were going to do it. They, as you may have seen, they landed at 11 o'clock yesterday morning. They came straight over here. A couple of them went out up on ladders, cherry pickers, to work out what they were going to use for their formation references, while we had a briefing with Dicky on the airplane, just to go over the routing, the radio frequencies, and all the sort of contingencies that we needed to. But I think they were the guys who had the difficult job really, because I, after my display, just cleared off down to the south for about 10 minutes and flew a route, and it was their job to find me. Finding me wasn't difficult, I think.
you do stand out, it must be said.
But then to join up, because again the speeds are not terribly compatible. I was flying a little faster than I would normally fly this down at those sort of altitudes, and it was quite turbulent yesterday. But they only had about 15 minutes maximum, to take off, find us, join up, and be in position for the fly-through. So
certainly must have been interesting for Dicky to bring 9 Hawks.
That's right.
Round your turbulence and then coming in close.
Yes, well that really is not an issue, because they're used to flying, for example, with as I was in the past, on air tankers. So flying little airplanes around big airplanes is not really a problem, and they just stayed just slightly outside the wingtips to make sure they were well clear, and they had no problems with it. These are water ballast tanks, so we put quite a lot of water in. There's about 30 tons of water when we fill them up. But the advantage is that there's a pipework system which connects them all together, so we can shift the centre of gravity of the airplane forward and backwards from fully forward to fully aft in 10 or 15 minutes. For some of the performance testing and the handling qualities testing, the centre of gravity is very important. So it means we don't have to, the old-fashioned way of doing it was with lead weights, and you'd have to change the loading of the airplane on the ground between flights. We can do it all in one flight, doing it like that.
At the moment, this aircraft is a flying testbed, and it is difficult to imagine how it would look when fully fitted out for passengers.
Well, that brings us to the close of a phenomenally successful Farnborough 2006. Stratton, what were your highlights?
Chloe, this has been a very successful Farnborough International. Over $28 billion worth of business has been done. That International Youth Day, very successful, something I hope they do again in the future. But the flight of the Airbus, the A380, was really terrific, wasn't it? It's fantastic. And to have them with the red arrows, that was worth getting out of bed for.
The sheer scale of it. So the future signs seem really positive for the aerospace industry.
Oh, very much so, and I look forward very much to 2008 for the next Farnborough International.
We do indeed. We do hope you've enjoyed our coverage, and so until 2008, from us and all the team, goodbye for now.